Hey, we're back. Chrystina Katz is here. That is Christina with a Y, and that is K-A-T-Z, because when you speak things on a podcast, you never know how to find a person when you Google their name, look on YouTube, their LinkedIn, whatever your platform of choice. Chrystina Katz is a business coach, a speaker, and an author who helps entrepreneurs and professionals embrace courage to achieve bold business success. And this manifests in many ways, including her excellent show, which you can find at gutsytravels.com. So we are going to find out from Chrystina herself, from the source, about what it means to be gutsy and why that's so important for our business and for our lifestyle and so much more. So Chrystina, glad to be speaking with you.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to join you and your audience on this very important topic, I think, anyway, being gutsy.
I think it is important. And I went to your website today for the first time in like a while. I think it might have been a year. And I was like, man, I forgot how much fun she has going to these different locations. It's well shot. It looks like I'm watching a reality TV show. So tell me about yourself. You have this amazing podcast. You have all these adventures. What are you up to?
What am I up to now? Well, things have changed. I started off with 20 years in the corporate world and then on and off go into entrepreneurial adventures. And along the way, people would be asking me to coach them, to mentor them on different topics that I had strengths and skills there. And now it has evolved into business coaching, executive coaching, doing the books. I'm working on my fourth book now and reconsidering doing season 2 for the Gutsy Travels travel talk show.
Exciting. And so you mentioned some of these things about like business coaching, executive coaching, and what does that mean? What sort of problems are you solving?
Uh, Helping business owners get out of their own way so that they can make positive disruptions in the world with their specialties, their differentiators, so that they know what their core message is and they plan ahead and they have some scheduling freedom. So they have a life as well as their business, and they're really helping their audience, their client base, and they're having fun with it at the same time.
It's what we all want, right? That's why most of us got into business. Did we say, I'm so fulfilled in my 9 to 5. I'd love to be miserable working for myself. Of course not. You went into this entrepreneurship adventure because you wanted bigger and better things. And so I love how you're mentioning here that you help people get out of your own way, because I think that self-help is more mainstream than it used to be. But maybe like 10, 15 years ago, I was like, I'm going to try this self-help thing. I'm going to listen to like some Tony Robbins, and they all get into this idea of self-sabotage. And when you first hear it, you think like, okay, self-sabotage, and then what else? What are the other categories? And they're like, no, that's kind of it, right? If you don't have what you want, then you can change your situation, and it might take a little bit of a trip, a travel. But like if you're unhappy, if your business isn't where it wants to be, if your money situation's a mess, then you need to fix it. No one else is going to save you for you. And so as far as you helping these people, right? These business owners that don't even know how to begin getting out of their own way, is there a way to simplify or categorize this? Like what kind of problems do you see as far as the stuckness, self-sabotageness?
A lot of times they don't have a core message. So they're trying different things when they're networking, when they're introducing themselves as well as what they do and who they serve and the problems they solve. They're kind of stumbling on themselves. That does not help build confidence. And they can self-sabotage without even realizing it. It's that subconscious thing. Plus, there's imposter syndrome. And I think most humans on the planet have some level of imposter syndrome, especially when they're learning, when they get into something new. It's like, well, I don't know everything. And then they start questioning themselves. Yet as they learn more, that self learning that you talked about, and they learn that they could be self-sabotaging themselves because they're not totally confident with what they're doing, then it becomes a vicious cycle. So I can help them with planning ahead of asking them some critical questions to help them hone down what it is that they're truly offering. What problems are they solving? And how can they very concisely say that to people, which then gets others to say, oh, tell me more. And that's how we have that two-way conversation. And as they see that others are interested in what they have to offer and they're engaging, they're building their own confidence and less likely to self-sabotage.
Very cool. So it sounds like these people they're close. They just need a little bit of reconfiguration, redirection. And so you're saying that there's the low self-confidence, and it sounded like a little bit of like people pleasing in there too, right? Like I'll be this person to that when I talk to this person, and I'll have personality B over here, personality C over there, and you end up just thinking that, well, I'll appeal to everyone, but then you kind of don't stand for much. And so you're saying that we need to have this clear core message, which maybe
Yes.
means that we are polarizing, right? We might turn some people off who don't want
Mhm.
what we have to offer, but that's okay because then you just keep on with the networking and the traffic and the posting and all that. And then you find those people who are for you. And you're also saying that we all have imposter syndrome to some extent. And it's okay because when will you ever know 100% of what
Mhm.
there is to know? There's the Dunning-Kruger curve, right? There's like with the beginning you think you know so much, and the more that you learn, like the less you think you learn, and you
Yeah.
never quite get back up to that overconfidence kind of setting. But that's totally okay. And so when you're saying that people need to figure out their offering, make some money,
Mhm.
talk to some people. Do you have a fun like success story case study to walk us through? Is there someone that comes to mind and they were just like, "Oh my gosh, Christina, I don't even know what I don't know. I'm such an imposter. Help me."
Yes, I have a client right now, 4 months in, and she came to me because she's doing well, but she feels totally scattered and she doesn't have any time for herself. So we started talking, started digging into what were her goals, what is her audience, looking at the website, and also helping her reconnect with the database that she had. We've actually reactivated 20% of her inactive database, and she had not raised prices for over 3 years. So she has now since raised her prices, and she's getting calls from clients saying, oh my gosh, you are so worth these prices. And she has 13 people working with her as well. So she immediately got that validation that, yeah, I'm paying this. The cost of living has gone up. I totally get you. And you are totally worth it. And so are your people. So that helped her with that validation of, oh, I should have raised these prices long ago. So it was able to help her with that and help her with her differentiators, which of course helped with justifying raising those prices. So now she's more confident because we walk through the analysis for her. So by the time she pulled the lever to do that, she was a little nervous, but not too nervous because we had done the analysis. Then numbers showed that this would work. And then with the validation that she got from clients and reactivating old clients, it was like a no-brainer. I should have done this a long time ago. And every single time we meet, I always ask my clients, what's your biggest takeaway from today's session? And every single time there is an element of, I can do this. I know what I'm doing. I'm learning, I'm growing, and yet I'm feeling more and more and more confident because now she has a support system. She knows she can call me anytime she needs. We go through the numbers. We are doing the audits. We have a structure and a schedule to help her to continue to grow. And here's something else. We've only been working together for 4 months. She's already exceeded this year's goals. Even her CPA, he predicted it based on what we've been doing, that you're going to go over this particular threshold. She's already surpassed it. And we're at the beginning of December.
Very cool, very exciting, and there's so many good lessons packed in there, right? And a lot like here's my takeaway from you, right? There's something to having someone else in your corner, right? Because it's
Yes.
really easy to just be doing this on your own, and sometimes like if you are in a mastermind or you have peers in your business or you have employees that aren't really on your level, they can't really relate to you. Versus you have a mentor, it's okay to share those numbers. It's okay to share those concerns,
Yes.
and so you're mentioning some of these like very simple ideas, but they're so simple most people don't do them, right? You
Right.
ask your clients about their goals, and even just that alone, right? It helps someone to kind of verbalize, make it
Yes.
concrete,
Yes.
and then maybe they haven't even told another person or haven't told a person or the right person in 3 years. And that's why they haven't raised prices. And so they can kind of tell you what the plan is and bounce it off another person, and you can like adjust the plan, help the plan, encourage
Yes.
the plan, revisit the plan, and then it's not so scary. It's not like they're on this journey by themselves. They
Yeah.
have you to help out. And also what I think is also underrated is the idea of reactivating your old list, because like I can't tell you, every few years I fall into the trap again of saying like, hey, I need new leads, I need new traffic, and I go and find someone who's like trying to get new stuff out of nowhere, and I'm neglecting the list that I already have, and it would just take a few emails, a little bit of a plan to get things back up and running. And so and it's called the low-hanging fruit, right? And so as far as the some of these solutions that you mentioned, are you like do you have an accounting background, or like I kind of sense a little bit of like the focusing on the numbers here?
There is a big focus on the numbers because that's how we can show our value is by it's not an expense. I'm a profit center by helping her out, and the numbers help to give that tangible evidence. My background, yeah, I did go to college. I did not get a business administration degree. My college, my school is the school of hard knocks of being in the corporate world, working with all the different departments. A majority of my corporate career was project management on the biggest projects and the most critical, sometimes the most challenging clients. And so it was like running a mini business because of budget, people, and of course the goals. And then I would jump out for a while and do a business adventure. One of them was an equipment leasing business where I had payroll, taxes, clients, and I even developed a software, a end-to-end software that we could use with our financial institutions, and they loved it. And then I'd go back into the corporate world, different reasons, based on life events and so forth. But all of that gave me experience, knowledge, and not just in one area, but all over. So now it makes sense that now with all of those, now I bring that knowledge, that those experiences, those stories to what I am doing now. And it's pretty cool how the school of hard knocks, we learn deeper when we go through those emotional roller coasters.
And I can see why, because like say you started off with a career or started off with a profession, you kind of get locked into this one track, right? And you say, oh well, doing the equipment leasing or doing some other business, there's the hesitation because you say, well, that's not what my training is. But anyone that's been on this planet the last 30 years knows that a lot of your old school education is kind of out the window, right? With the internet, computers, AI, all sorts of
Yeah.
things. There's talk all the time about like, oh, this profession is gone or replaced by that. And so there's definitely that advantage in being agile, nimble, adaptable, and
Yes.
to use your term, gutsy. And right before this call, I looked up the word gutsy because I'm always thinking like, okay, like what does it even mean? We take words for granted. Gutsy means showing courage, determination, and spirit, but that's just the boring dictionary definition. And so, in all of your life travels, business travels, people you've helped, what does it mean to be gutsy?
Getting out of our own way, creating the time to learn more. You had mentioned that earlier. Creating that support system so we can go through the hard times and not alone. Also, growing our own business acumen and staying on the edge, learning more. It took me a while to embrace some of this technology. I admit it. But once I did, life got easier. And it's also making decisions, making those hard calls, having hard conversations, whether that's with employees, contractors, vendors, and sometimes clients. Being gutsy in business is learning, planning, and taking strategic risks. And I like to say we need to be gutsy daily, every day, to build our resilience so that we can go gutsy when the big audacious dream comes up, those goals, suddenly solidify and or those big opportunities arise. We're ready for it. We're ready to take that jump because we've been being gutsy daily with habits, and we can then go gutsy for where it really matters.
100%. I'm right there with you. The idea of keeping the gutsy muscle strong, right? And if you just, it's like if you say, someday I'll play that football game, and you sit on the couch for years, and okay, now today's the day I'll do it. You can't do it. But if you practice, if you put in your reps, if you
Yeah.
kind of get used to the ins and outs of it and build up your strength and build up the habit, then when
Mhm.
it's time to like really deliver, then that's something that you can really do. And I love the word resilience. Like my 4-year-old son, he's autistic. He doesn't really speak very much, and it is kind of sad. But at school, they said he's resilient, and I noticed that like at first, he like if something was a little hard, he'd give up. And then I noticed it so much. I was like, hey, I wonder if I do that. And I'm just like, okay, that word resilience to me means, keep trying even if it's
Yes.
difficult. That way you can break through because there'll be more things to have to break through later on. So you might as well be prepared for it. And so speaking of gutsy, one of the out of what I know about you, what impresses me is your reality show, TV show, where and I know that you said like you're considering continuing it, but I really want to know because I don't think I've got like an actual like explanation of it, right? It's as far as I know, you're in the RV, you're in the van, you travel across the country, visit cool cities, meet interesting people. But what is Gutsy Travels all about?
Okay, so one is correction. When I was doing season one of the Gutsy Travels, I had already done the solo travel when I was traveling around with the truck and trailer. When I was doing season one, I would be driving or flying to different cities so that I can speak with these people that I was either introduced to, people I already knew who had been gutsy in their lives and had an interesting story to share that could inspire others to be gutsy. And so I ended up, I did one trip, I did across the country from Las Vegas to Miami, Florida, and then back and up to Bozeman, Montana, Jackson Hole, Wyoming. And all along the way, I interview people in Nashville who he wants to have a global holiday for a peace holiday for everyone. One day that there's peace all around the globe. That to me is a gutsy goal. So I was able to interview him. I have interviewed others that how they started their business, overcoming alcoholism, being 25 years without cancer, homeschooling when homeschooling was not well accepted. So these people coming or doing gutsy things that can inspire the audience of, I didn't even know that was a thing. I could do that too. Or, okay, if she could do it or he could do it, could do that too, just to give people hope and give them something tangible that someone else went through that they can then think themselves, well, I can do that too. So it's just really important to me to inspire others to be gutsy because we have all been gutsy in our lives at some point. All of us. I believe 100% of the population has been gutsy in one way, shape, or form. And then based on life experiences, sometimes we get shyer. Sometimes we, push back because we got hurt or just scared. And feeling the fear and moving forward, planning ahead and moving forward. And I always like to recommend books. And one of them is always Susan Jeffers, Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. That book, when I read it the first time, it was eye-opening that everyone has fears. It's not what happens to us, it's what we do with it, which is one of my favorite quotes that Benjamin Franklin is purported to have said. So being gutsy is knowing that it's scary, it's big, or even if it's little, but we know that there's some fear, and yet we move forward. We go for it with some planning. I'm not talking about reckless action. I'm talking about strategic, planned ahead, prepared kind of action. Did that answer your question?
It did. It gave us a good feel for what your mission is all about and the people that you're trying to help and bring attention to what it is that they're doing. And I imagine in all of your traveling, whether it was the truck and the van or the flying, in all the travels, like, was there a fearful moment? Was there like a stressful travel situation, or was there like a awkward, like, I'm not sure if this city is going to work out or this meeting? Was there any just kind of like wrinkle in the travel plans?
There are little ones where I'll have the moment, like one that comes to me is Texas and the stockyards and or around the stockyards. My GPS stopped working and I remember just looking around and first time in that particular city and it was like I don't even know whether to go right or go left. So that yeah, there was that moment of what do I do? So little things like that. Nothing big. I mean, I've been stranded at the airport. I've even slept at the airport overnight. Other times it's get a hotel, figure it out, find a hotel, etc. Nothing huge from when it comes to travel. I feel very blessed. Oh, there was one. A slow flat tire on 95, Miami, Florida. If you've ever been there, it's always crazy, almost 24 hours a day. And the traffic was going so fast, I wasn't sure if I was going to go flat or what, but I did make it. And then in Miami. I wasn't living there anymore. This was on that trip that I talked to you about. And it was, I can't go any further. Am I going to get a tow, etc.? And a car full of construction workers showed up to the store because I did find my way to, I don't know, a 7-Eleven or one of those types of stores. And I asked the gentleman to help me out, and they did. It was like a miracle, one of those ask for help and the universe delivers. Scary on a number of different layers there, and yet it all worked out. And I think that's also part of it. We have to believe that it will work, that it will have a positive outcome. And even if there are challenges, we got to look at both the positive and the challenge, because in every challenge, there's a positive. And with a lot of positives, there could have been a negative, but be open to both of them and know that it will work out. Everything will work out for us if we believe it and we keep taking action.
That's a very positive and helpful message that things happen, right? And it's like some are good and some are bad, and you can choose what to focus on, and you can say, well, hey, I'll learn from this, or even just disregard and say, hey, that wasn't important information. Someone cut me off in traffic, or I showed up late to whatever town, and I'll keep on pressing on. And like, when anyone, we've all traveled in some sense, right? And in travel, there's kind of, it works the brain in fun ways, right? You have these long periods of like thinking and introspection. There's kind
Mhm.
of unique ways of problem solving and planning and improvising. And it's so cool sometimes, even just to sometimes I find myself on YouTube, like typing in random cities just to see like the the establishing shots, see what the driving, like you can put in any city and driving, and I just kind of feel like, hey, what would be like to like teleport over into this kind of area,
That's
and
cool.
yeah, and it just kind of works the mind. It's better than having like TV on in the background, but then even there's all these travel shows, right? Anthony
Yes.
Bourdain, they just drop him in somewhere, and he's just like based on
Figure it out.
personality, just figures out some things, and so there's definitely something just to be said about vicariously experiencing
Yes.
the travel through you, just
Yes.
because there's the place, and then I noticed that you go to the locations and say, hey, here's
Yes.
this cool landmark, here's this interesting person. It's kind of like the Jerry Seinfeld, the comedians in cars, right? They get in the car, they drive somewhere, it's more than just people talking, it's also
Yes.
taking action. And then in the conversation, there's like the unexpectedness that happens, like you're saying about the World Peace Holiday, about the overcoming alcoholism. You kind of get into all of these really interesting nooks and crannies of the human condition. But we're just here to give people a taste of you and what you're all about as far as the business coaching and the show. And so in our last couple of minutes, is there something that we left out here? Is there like a missing hidden question that you wish I would ask you?
Missing hidden question. Can I tell you about the book, the fourth book that I'm working on?
Yes, please.
All right. So this one is called Be Gutsy, Pivot Your Path to Profits. And edition one is already out there. I'm working on edition two. And the premise is that business owners, they need to focus more time on their business than in it to grow it, and be working on the right things as well, tracking the right KPIs, the metrics, etc. And so I review some of the business strategies that I know work, and I'm interviewing experts in different industries, business owners, so that they can tell me about their businesses or their industries. Use of these types of strategies and the impacts so that I can make edition two even more robust than edition one, because now it is today's environment, economic climate, and how these strategies work. So if you have anyone that you would recommend that I interview, oh, like maybe even you, Robert,
Let's do it.
then that would be cool.
And you're like sticking true to your values, which seems to be involving other people. And it's always a really cool idea with like Think and Grow Rich is the ultimate, just like let me talk to all these people and let me
Yes.
look at the common threads, the
Yes.
commonalities, but then also go into eat like their own uniqueness as well. And so that
Hmm.
way you kind of can have your cake and eat it too. Because if you're in such and such industry, this kind of business, you're like, hey, this speaks exactly to me. But if you're outside that circle, then you might get some insights that you normally wouldn't get if you
Right.
just remain inside your own bubble. So it's very cool, very powerful. And so how can somebody find some of these resources that you mentioned? How can they find the book and how can they find you?
All right. Well, and in the show notes, you'll have some links as well. So ChristinaKatz.com is the one of the websites. There's also GutsyTravels.com if you're interested in watching some of those episodes. And link to the book we will put into your show notes.
Okay, and just to make sure, what is the book called? What's the title?
Be Gutsy, Pivot Your Path to Profits.
Very nice. Alliterations. Be gutsy, pivot your path to profits. And we've been speaking with Chrystina Katz from ChristinaKatz.com and GutsyTravels.com. And before I let you go, Chrystina, it's time to stump you a little bit, put you on the spot, where I ask for a fun quote or lesson that has served you in life or business that you can pass on to us. So, what comes to mind for you as far as a fun quote or lesson?
It's a mixture. Every moment of every day is a choice. Choose to create the life you want.